Chris back with another top-down review, and today I'm going to be reviewing Stranger Things Season 2 in my Back to the Future Part 2 hat. Very reminiscent of the 80s. Wow, what a season, I have to say. One of the things that I really want to establish above anything else in this review is the idea of growth. And I want to say the characters in this season that really grow the most from the first season are probably Eleven, Steve, Hopper, and if I had to pick another one, probably maybe Dustin, I would say. I mean, they all kind of grow in their own way, but I think those significant characters grow in their own way. I mean, when the season starts, it's basically trying to do, what most second seasons do, pick up where they left off in the first season and sort of demonstrate where everyone's been. And it does a pretty good job of that in the first couple episodes. But then, the whole idea surrounding Will comes back into play, and just okay, now he's having problems again. And it seems like when he was rescued in the first season, things didn't really end up all that normal for him. He barfed up that little slug thing at the end of the season 1 finale, and then he has to basically deal with this other entity that's living inside of him, which goes by many different names. I think the name that they actually set on calling it is the Mind Flayer, but then it's also called the Shadow Cane. But for the sake of the review, I'll just call it the Mind Flayer. So this thing called the Mind Flayer basically takes over Will, and for the majority of the season, everyone's just trying to figure out why this thing is possessing him, why it's killing pumpkins and everything, and at the same time it's taking place during Halloween, and then by the end of the season, close to Christmas and everything, with their little snowball dance thing. But yeah, it's a interesting way to go about it, and Eleven goes on her own separate journey throughout the season. She's trying to understand more about her powers and everything, and she actually meets another test subject called 8, I guess. I mean, her real name is never really given, but 8 is what her actual number on her arm is, so she's another experiment, which kind of makes me curious about the other experiments, like whether or not there is a number 10, whether there's a number 1 through 8, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But I liked their whole bonding moment. A lot of sisterly bonding in the episode where her and Eleven got to interact and everything, and it was sort of kind of like a Luke and Yoda moment is how I kind of compare it, where she's kind of showing Eleven how her powers work and everything, but then she kind of tells her, oh, you can use this for other things, and it's sort of like a dark side moment. And then Eleven also again has a Luke Skywalker moment where it's just oh, my friends are in trouble, I have to go back and save them and everything. It's a big moment for her because she's going back to not only to the Hawkins lab where she was experimented on, but back into the lives of all these people that she met in season 1, and she's got to bring this new information with her. So it's a kind of a big step up heroes moment for her, and it's really sweet when she finally meets up with Mike. And again, another relationship I really liked was Eleven's relationship with Hopper and everything. The father-daughter relationship that goes on between them. Just how he was the one that found her and kept her for a year and everything, and how they have a very father-daughter relationship, and then how they by the end of the season they sort of reconcile and get on each other's same page, which I think is really great. And also another relationship which I just absolutely love, the one between Steve and Dustin. It's kind of a little brother relationship, because up till this point the only brother relationship we had was the one between Jonathan and Will, and this one we kind of get an unexpected brother relationship. There's that great scene, and I forget which episode it is, probably episode 6, I would think, yeah. When Dustin and and Steve are just talking on the tracks, and he's just like, oh, I'm just trying to get this girl's attention, but I really can't and everything, and you have such perfect hair, and you look like that. And then Steve just like tells him like the secret of his hair, and it's just like it's Farrah Fawcett spray and all this stuff, and I thought it was just really funny. But it's a good brother moment, and by the end they've really had like a connection and everything. And then you have the new characters like Max and her asshole brother Billy, who absolutely you are gonna hate by the end of the season. He absolutely has no growth whatsoever. I guess he has maybe a tiny bit of growth maybe towards the end, maybe just like, okay, I won't mess with you anymore, sister kind of thing. But I mean, Max just ends up being like a great asset to the team. I wouldn't really call her, she's like the stand-in of 11 while 11 is on her own personal mission, but she brings like a whole other element to the team and everything in the end. But overall, I thought the season was great. It kind of took a little bit to establish what the main problem was going to be. I mean, you knew it had something to do with Will, but it kind of got more and more into the mystery as the episodes kind of went on. My only regret was just I felt that Mike didn't really have a big role until about towards the last couple episodes. That like every episode focused on a character in some way. Like there was one that was dedicated to 11 and her sister. There was one that focused on Dustin and Steve and Jonathan and Nancy. Which happy that they're together, sort of. I don't know if they are officially together, or I don't know if that's just a love triangle that has to be sorted out between her, Jonathan, and Steve. We'll just have to find out season 3. But yeah, I liked how each episode was reflective on a different character. It's just I felt Mike should have had maybe like a little bit more of a role. I don't know if that's something that the writers wanted to pull back on, that Mike had that big central role in the first season and they wanted to focus on other characters, which is fine, that's fine. It's just I felt like he just could have done maybe just a little bit more and everything. But as far as where things can possibly go season 3 wise, I have no idea. Obviously there's that tease at the end of the season where it's kind of like the school dance flips upside down and the literal upside down, and you see kind of that shadow monster thing above the gymnasium. So I mean, it's likely it's still alive, or maybe it'll manifest more monsters. We'll just have to see come season 3. Whether or not I'll do a prediction video on it is still remains to be seen. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed Stranger Things Season 2. Do I think that it's better than Season 1? I think it's kind of like one of those things where you just like, you read a book and the first book is just so successful, it's so good, and then they make a sequel to it, and the sequel just delivers on what it was supposed to do as a sequel. Maybe it won't live up exactly to the first story, but it does a good job of continuing the character arcs and moving the plot forward, and it does everything in that regard. So as a sequel, it succeeds. But whether or not it captures that same magic that the very first season has, probably not. But still, is it worth a watch? Absolutely. Absolutely, in every possible word. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about Stranger Things Season 2, what you think could possibly go on in Season 3, because at this point I have no idea at all what could happen. At least for right now. I'm sure there's going to be tons of theory videos that come out about it. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about Stranger Things Season 2. I will be posting my review for Thor Ragnarok, like I said in my previous video, on Thursday, so please look out for that. And I will see you guys in the next video. I'm Chris with the Top Down Review, and adios.